Alright, Solid Foundation Israelite Academy. I'm going to go into Romans chapter 6 and just explain that for you brothers and sisters that don't have the over and inner understanding. This is a very short video. I'm just going to go into Romans chapter 6 and Romans chapter 3, and I'm going to explain that for you guys that don't know what's going on. So please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with family and friends. Alright, you want to take notes, that's fine. So let me go into Romans 6. Alright, so it's not nothing hard to explain here. I'm gonna show you guys what's going on. Alright, so okay, I'm gonna read Romans 6 and 1. It says, what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? So this is dealing with the three-letter word. This is dealing with sin. Now it says, should we? Now who is the we in reference to? Is that talking about everybody? Everybody, all nations? No, that's talking about the children of Israel, which are the 12 tribes, blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans of today. Once again, if you are Negro or ending in descent, you are listed on this 12 tribe chart, and you are the chosen, the Israelites. And so that's the we that Romans 6 and 1 talks about. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin? Because who sin only applies to? Think about that. Who sin only applies to? Let me grab you another book, chapter, and verse. Who sin applies to? Let's go to 1 John 3 and 4. 1 John 3 and 4. Alright, it says, whosoever committed sin. Now, whosoever is not talking about all nations, like your church gonna have you to believe. Because we know that there's no truth in Christianity or any other religion out here. That's why you got to get with the Israelites. Alright? And be careful what camp you get with, too. But anyways, it says in Romans 6 and 1, what shall we are the Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans, what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin? So that three-letter word, shall we continue in sin? Now, who sin only applies to in the Bible? 1 John 3 and 4, whosoever commits sin transgress also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. So if sin is the violation of the law, who was given the law? Who was given the law? Yes, guys, 12 tribes, children of Israel. No other nation on the face of this planet was given the law. So when you think about all these 18 table of nations, the only nation out of the 18 total, the only nation out of those nations was given the law was number one, guys, Israel. Israel, the Israelites, which makes up the 12 tribes, they are the only nation of people in the Bible that was given the law. You cannot find in your Bible nowhere where it talks about the covenants being applied to other nations and the law, statutes, and commandments given to other nations. There's nowhere in the Bible. So we do know that Israel was given the law. Guys, if you still don't believe me, because we know sin is the what? Sin is the transgression of the law. So if you're gonna violate God's laws, you're gonna be in sin if you violate the laws of God. Now I'm gonna show you this easily, because I always bring up this book, chapter, and verse. Now you can look at Psalms 147, verses 19 and 20, to show you about the law being given to Israel. Psalms 147, 19. In verses 20. We'll show you many more verses, but I don't want to just get stuck on this. Psalms 147, verse 19. He shows his word unto Jacob. So what is the word? The word is the Constitution. Is the word of the law is the blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans Constitution, the 12 tribes Constitution. The word, that's the basic instructions before leaving earth, this Bible. He showed his word unto Jacob. He showed his policies, his laws, statutes, and commandments to Jacob. See, his statutes and his judgments to Israel. So what nation out of the 18 total, who did he show his statutes and judgments to? Psalms 147, verse 19. He showed his word to Jacob. Who is Jacob? Jacob is another name for Israel, number one, which makes up the blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans. So that's who he showed his word to. And last but not least, the statutes and the judgments. He showed them to Israel. Now, where in the Bible does it say he shows his statutes and judgments to any other nation besides Israel? You just go ahead and pull that book, chapter, verse, and I said, you pull that book, chapter, and verse, and I sit around and wait. Well, I'll be waiting all night, guys, because it's not in the Bible where he gave his statutes and judgments to any other nation besides Israel. All right? Psalms 147, verse 20. He has not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So it don't seem like the Most High dealt with any nation besides Israel. That's what the Bible telling you. He has not dealt with no nation on the face of this planet besides Israel. And that's what makes us special. That's what makes us the appointed. That's what makes us the chosen nation, Israelites. And all these heathens know that. You don't think these heathens jealous of the chosen people? All these heathens jealous of us. The ones in the red box, they jealous of us because God never dealt with them and gave them no law, statutes, and commandments. He didn't civilize these people in the red box, but he made the ones, the Israelites, he made you upright. Gave you the statutes and the judgments, dust you off, and gave you and made you civilized. And the other nations hate you for that. So if he gave Israel the statutes and the judgments, and he had not dealt with any other nation on the face of the earth, then is it safe to say that Israel is the only nation that was given the laws of God? Yes, that's correct. I just want to show you this before we go back to 1 John 3 and 4. So we can show you right there. I mean, you already seen it thus far. Also, I believe this is in Psalm 78 and 5. Psalm 78 and 5. For he established a testimony in Jacob, and he appointed a law in Israel. See, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children. Also, you can see in Deuteronomy chapter 4, I believe. Deuteronomy 4 and 1. Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and judgments. See, hearken, O Israel, unto what? Statutes and judgments, which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live and go and possess the land which the Lord God of your fathers giveth you. So you see right there, man. Also down Deuteronomy 4 and 5, down here, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land, whether you go to possess it. And that was talking about the children of Israel on the way to the promised land. Deuteronomy 4 and 6. Keep them therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, and the sight of these heathen nations right here, and the sight from 2 to 18, in the sight of the nations which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this is a great nation and wise and understanding people. So that's what the heathens gonna say about us. That's what the ones in the red box gonna say about us. The white man, the Arabs, the Chinese, Japanese, East Indians, Arabs, Africans, all these people in the red box. That's what they gonna say about us when we line up with these laws, statutes, and commandments and walk accordingly the way we supposed to, and keeping God's laws. These other nations are gonna be like, sure, these people are great, man, and wise and understanding people. Deuteronomy 4 and 7. For what nation is there so great, who hath God so nigh unto them? So why was God so near to us? Because he gave us the law, statutes, and commandments. You see, he made a covenant with us. So that's why. For what nation is there so great? What other nation did God give his law, statutes, and commandments to? What other nation is near to God like the Israelites? You can't say that for the ones in the red box. See, that's why it's important to know where you fit in. when you read the Bible, because if you don't know where you fit in, you're not going to know what's going on. So for what nation is they're so great who have God so near to them, as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him. Deuteronomy 4:8. And what nation is there so great that has statutes and judgments? See, that's what made us a special nation. 2-18 ain't got no damn statutes and judgments. The white man, the East Indians, the Arabs, Syrians, Africans, Chinese, Japanese, the ones in the white, the ones in the red box. Come on, man. Those are not great nations because they was not given any statutes and commandments. So Deuteronomy 4:8 talks about the Israelites. What nation is there so great that has statutes and judgments, so righteous as in all the law, which I set before you this day? See that? So who did the Most High set the law before? The children of Israel. We showed you that. We showed you that in Psalm 78 verse 5. We showed you that in Psalms 147 verses 19 and 20. And now we're showing you this in Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 8. All right, guys? So it's not hard. It's not hard at all. You might want to write this down in your composition book. Be sure to write this down in your composition book. Don't forget about it, guys. Write this down in your composition book. So now, when we go back to 1 John 3 and 4, we went through Psalm 7, 8, and 5. We showed you in Psalms 147, verses 19 and 20. Now, when we go back to 1 John 3 and 4, it says, whosoever commits sin, transgresseth also the law. Now, I'm pretty sure, guys, you know who the law was given to by now. That if you was paying attention up to now. If you paying attention, you should know who the laws was given to. We showed you Psalm 7, 8, and 5. He established the law. He established the law in Israel. We showed you Deuteronomy 4 and 8. He set the law before Israel. We showed you in Psalms 147, verses 19 and 20. He showed his word to Jacob. And we got to show you another one? We'll show you Romans 3 and 1 if you want to. So whosoever commits sin transgress also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. So how in the hell would you be able to break the law if sin don't apply to you? How in the hell you would be able to break the law if the law ain't given to you? So whosoever commits sin transgress the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. So that tells you sin, what makes a sinner? What makes a sinner? What makes a sinner is when you break the laws of God. But you can only break the laws of God if the laws of God was what? Given to you. So we know that all nations of the Bible was not given the laws of God except the nation of Israel. So there can only be sinners within the nation of Israel. They can only sin. Because why? He showed his word to Jacob. Why? Because he established the law in Israel. Why? Deuteronomy 4 and 8 said he set his law before Israel. So they the only ones can sin. Because they the only ones can break the laws of God because the laws was given to them. Can the other nations sin in the red box? Did he establish a law with these ones in the red box? Did he set the law before the ones in the red box? Did he show his word to the ones in the red box? No. And you can go throughout the whole entire Bible and pick how long you want to pick how much time you want to pick. You're not going to find this in your Bible. The only nation that he made a covenant with and gave his laws, statutes, and judgments to is the blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans, which makes up the 12 tribes of Israel. The rest of you nations, you can kick rocks. And that's the simple truth. So, now, show you one more. 1 John 3 and 4. Whosoever commits sin, do what? Transgress the law. How you going to break the law if you was not given the law? How you going to be a sinner if you was not given the law? See that? Now, let's go to Romans 3 and 1. Okay? Romans 3 and 1. Romans 3 and 1. Okay, here we go. So it says, what advantage then has the Jew? The Jews are the Israelite. And who are the Jews? The so-called Jews? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Those first three tribes, those are known as the tribe of Judah, the southern kingdom. The rest of the tribes from Simeon down to Issachar, that is known as the house of Israel or the kingdom of Ephraim or the northern kingdom of Israel. We're talking about the Jews. But we know that all the Israelites was given the law. But primarily Romans 3 and 1 talks about Judah, Benjamin, and Levi being the first three tribes which consist of the Jews, right? So it says, what advantage has the Jew? So what advantage do we have over these other heathens? If you're a Jew, an Israelite, what advantage do you have over these nations in the red box? Let's see. Or what profit is their circumcision? So we know that the law of circumcision can only apply to the nation of Israel. So just for extra input, no other nations back in the times was circumcising their boys besides the nation of Israel. Circumcision applies to the nation of Israel. So all the other heathen nations, men, child back in the day, they wasn't circumcised. Circumcision only applies to the law of the nation of Israel. All right, Romans 3:2. Much in every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God. So the Jews, to them was committed the oracles of God. The laws was given to the Jews, and not only just the Jews, not only Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, but all the nation of Israel. So that's the advantage. So when you talk about sin, guys, you can't talk about sin without mentioning a law. You got to mention the law when you talk about sin, because what makes a sinner? What makes a sinner is a lawbreaker. And if you wasn't given the law, you can't be a lawbreaker. So, question, guys, are the ones in the red box lawbreakers? They can't be if the law didn't apply to them. Okay, so there's no one can be lawbreakers in the red box. The white man can't break the law, because the law don't apply to the white man or any other heathen nation in the red box. But who can break the law? Number one. Why? Because for you blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans, it makes up the 12 tribes. We showed you several verses in terms of the law being given to you, guys. All right, so we're going to continue on. So continuing on, when we go out to Romans 6:1, what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin, that grace may abound? So when it's talking about sin, automatically when it's talking about sin, the only way you can become a sinner if you violate the laws of the Heavenly Father. But you cannot be a sinner if the law wasn't given to you. In terms of the heathen, the law wasn't given to the heathens, so they can't be sinners. We know that the laws was given to the nation of Israel. I'm going to show you another one. I'm going to show you another one, guys, so you'll be without excuse. Let's go to Amos 3:1. So you'll be without excuse. Amos 3:1. So you will be without excuse. Hear this word that the Lord hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, the blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, because that's who came out of Egypt from servitude, the children of Israel. Saying, Amos 3:2, you only have I known of all families of the earth. See that? So out of all these families, the families of the earth is the nations of the earth. Now out of all these nations, out of all these different nationality of people, Amos 3:1 says the Israelites, they are the only one the Most High have known of all the families of the earth, basically all the nations of the earth. So why did he say that? Because they were the only one out of all these nations that was given the commandments, that was given the covenants and the laws. That's why. And he said, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. So sin can only apply to a particular nation that was given the law in terms of Israel. See that? You can't be a sinner if the law wasn't given to you, guys. You see that? You can't be a sinner if the law was not given to you. So Romans 6:1 says, shall we continue in sin? So if you're talking about anybody caught up in sin, anybody struggling with sin, anybody that's entangled with sin and battling with sin, it has to be an Israelite automatically, because there can be no sinner without breaking the law, and the law was given only to Israel, guys. You see that? So Romans 6:1 is really telling you, who, you know what I'm saying, on a subliminal level, basically who sin applied to. But if you don't use the precepts, you would not know that. Okay? So now let's go over to St. John 9:31. St. John 9:31. Revelation and free game, guys. Don't cause you nothing to pay attention. St. John 9:31, guys. Don't cause you nothing to pay attention. St. John 9:31. Now we know that God hears not sinners. Who those sinners are? Because out of all the information we have gathered thus far, you should know who a sinner. Sinners are ones that the law apply to, because the breaking of the law was what makes the sinner. So who are sinners? The only one can be sinners, Israel. All right? So we know that God does not listen to basically Israelites who chooses to break the laws. But if any man be a worshiper of God and does his will, he hears. So if you want to get your prayers answered quickly, if you want to get your petitions accepted quickly, when you kneel before the Heavenly Father and you make a petition and you pray, it tells you right here that he don't hear sinners. So basically, if you want your prayers to be accepted, you got to start at least trying to apply these laws, statutes, and commandments. You got to get away from this shrimp, crab, and lobsters. Got to stop eating the shrimp, crab, and lobsters. Start keeping these Sabbaths, gradually, just start taking one step at a time. Try to keep at least a few laws in the Bible. If you start trying to show the exaggerated effort of keeping the law, once you blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans, once the Most High see your effort in trying to keep the law, basically your petition will be made like that, man, when you pray. Because he said, now we know that God hears not sinners. So when you on your knees and you crying before the Father and you breaking his laws, statutes, and commandments, he don't hear you. That's why if you're gonna sin, if you breaking the laws, if you violating the laws of God, you ain't keeping the commandments as a Hebrew Israelite, I would recommend for you not even to pray. I would recommend for you not even to pray. Don't even bother about praying if you're gonna continue to break God's laws, man. Okay? These are the golden laws right here, the 10 Commandments. We know it's 613 laws total in the Bible. These is just the golden laws, the golden, thou shalt not have no other gods before me. That's idolatry. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of guys don't even know that's talking about diverse religions in the earth. That's talking about being part of different religious cults and being part of different denominations. Like if you're a Christian, like if you're a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Hinduist, different religions in the earth. Thou shalt not have no other gods before me. Really, that's saying you shall not affiliate yourself with any religions, denominations in the earth. Because all these religions and denominations false. So thou shalt not have no other gods before me. That's what they're saying. Because with every religion comes a God. A God comes with every religion. You see that? So basically the first commandment is telling you not to be a part of religion. But you got to have the inner over and understanding. Thou shalt not make into thee any graven images. That's the Christian cross that a lot of you guys and you sisters like to wear around your necks. That's the Christian cross that you go and tattoo on your arm. That's the Christian cross that you that's on the top of the church steeple. That you render homage to. You feel me? That's the Christian cross in your church. Thou shalt not make any graven image. That's talking about the Christian cross. And for you Israelites that want to be Muslims, that's talking about the Kaaba rock, that black meteorite. You see? Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Basically, your walk with God being futile. You know what I'm saying? If God send you on a mission, you're supposed to make that mission worthwhile. You're supposed to make that mission. You're supposed to make that mission official. He shouldn't have to tell you in the end, depart from me, because thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. That's when you choose not to walk with God wholeheartedly. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. The Sabbath day, which is according by the new moon. Some Israelite brothers might keep every Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. However you choose to do it, but remember the Sabbath. Remember the Sabbath, because a lot of brothers and sisters have forgot about the Sabbath today. It says, honor thy father and thy mother. What is that talking about? Respect your parents. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill. Commandment 6, thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill your brothers and sisters without a just cause. Because the Most High called us in unison and peace. Thou shalt not commit adultery. If you know someone's married, then you should not try to sleep around with his or her husband or wife. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not steal from your brothers and sisters. All you got to do is ask. Require. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbors, telling lies on thy brothers and sisters. A lie is so powerful, it can have you killed. Man, lies can do all kind of damages to you. A lie can have someone hating you for the rest of your life. If not, plotting on killing you. Thou shalt not covet. That means wanting our brothers and sisters' belongings instead of being content with what you have. See, all this stuff applies to the nation of Israel. These 10 commandments, along with these other rules and regulations, these apply to the nation of Israel. This is for Israel, man. This is not for the heathen. These 10 commandments is not for the heathen. This is not for the ones in the red box. So they don't have to subscribe to the 10 commandments or the rest of the laws if they don't have to. And so now they know that the laws are not for them. The heathens know that the laws are not for them. And now they're trying to get the chosen people to break the laws by telling them that the laws is not effective today. Telling them that the laws is no use of today. And so they have conspired to try to get us to break the laws. Because the law is where your power is. Your power is in the law. You keep the law, you walk with God, you conquer. You keep the law, you walk with God, you rise above all. You don't keep the law and you stop walking with God, you don't rise above all and you fall at the bottom. You fall at the base. And that's what happened to us. You see? So St. John 9:31, we know that God hears not sinners. And a sinner is someone who breaks the law. According to 1 John 3:4, for sin is the transgression of the law. Can't break the law if the law wasn't given to you. So the only sinners in the Bible is the Israelites. But if any man be a worshiper of God and does his will, him he heard. So if you do the will of God, man, you can bet your prayer is going to be answered instantly. Feel me? That's only if you're doing the will. To do the will of God is to keep the commandments and walk in the law. All right? Pretty much, guys. Back to Romans 6:1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Shall we continue to break God's laws? And in spite of breaking God's laws, we just keep leaning on grace? We depend on grace to hold us up? When we break the laws of God, some of us break the laws on purpose because we think that grace is going to forever hold us up. That's what it's saying. Shall we continue to break the laws of God that we may use grace as a crutch? Romans 6:2, God forbid. Because we know that grace will eventually run out. And it's not going to be a crutch anymore for you to lean on. And you heading for destruction neck first. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Now what is that talking about? If you keep the laws of God, you walk with God. If you apply the law, statutes, and commandments in your life, then you don't need grace. You don't need this. You don't need grace. You only need grace when you continue to break the laws of God and not keep his commandments. You don't need grace if you walk with God and keep his commandments. Grace is only there for you if you cannot keep the commandments of the law, or if you slip up in the spite of keeping his commandments. Because it's hard to keep the commandments of God, man. And we don't keep the commandments perfectly. We don't keep the commandments perfectly each and every day. So we do need grace, but we don't use grace as a wall or a crutch. We don't exploit grace, basically. We only use grace when it's necessary. So we shall not continue to break God's laws and lean on grace as a crutch or use grace as a wall to hold us up as an excuse. We should try to keep all these commandments to the best of our ability and use as least as grace as we can. Romans 6:2. But that's why I said, God forbid, you don't use grace and grace alone and say that you don't need God's commandments. All right? Why did God give the Israelite the 10 commandments? Why did God give the Israelite the 10 commandments? God declared that the Israelites were his own people and that they must listen to God and obey his laws. We got to obey the laws. You can't lean on grace and grace alone. These laws were the 10 commandments. And it's more than just the 10 commandments, because it's 613 laws. Some of these laws are done away with concerning the Levitical priesthood order. Okay, like the divers washings, sacrificial law, that's done away with. Head coverings, things of that nature. That's like the Levitical priesthood order. That's done away with. But most of these laws still remain. These laws were the 10 commandments, which was given to Moses. Moses was an Israelite from the tribe of Levi on 2 stone tablets. And they set out the basic principles that would govern the Israelite life. So that's what governs your lives, the law, statutes, and commandments. That's what governs your lives. So you're supposed to keep the law, statutes, and commandments and use as least grace as you can. But you shouldn't lean on grace that grace may abound. God forbid that. How shall we that are dead to sin? You're dead to sin when you're walking in the laws of God and keeping his laws. How shall we that are dead to sin, keeping God's laws, living any longer therein? So basically, how shall we dead to sin live any longer therein? What is that saying? So basically, we are to keep God's laws, and we not to lean on grace and exploit grace. That's why I say God forbid. So how shall we that are dead to sin, how shall we that are keeping God's laws live any longer therein? You see? Kind of self-explanatory. If you dead to sin, how shall you live any longer therein? You feel me? So that's talking about grace. So you can't use grace as no excuse and say we just saved by grace. You can't use that as no excuse and say we just saved by grace. Because I'm going to show you. What about faith? Let's go to Romans 3:33. Romans 3:31, I believe. What about faith? Because they're going to say, well, faith next. Let's deal with faith. Romans 3:31. Do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid that too. Yes, we establish the law. So you can't just lean on grace and grace alone. You can't lean on faith and faith alone, man. Because the laws is what govern your life. You got to keep these laws, man. But in spite of keeping the law, you might need a little grace. Because we be up and down. We might fall. You know what I'm saying? We might unintentionally sin. Some of us might willfully sin. We might sin in general. The only ones can sin are the Israelites now. Blacks, Hispanics, Latinos, and Native Americans. If you on this chart, if you break God's laws, you can sin. You'll be a sinner. And you ought to repent. Keep these laws. And you're not to lean on grace as a crutch and lean on faith as a crutch. So that's what Romans 3:31 says. Do we make void the law through faith? God forbid. We establish the law, man. We got to. All right? Okay, guys, we're going to go on. So we showed you Romans 6:1 and verse 2. And then we showed you Romans 3 and 31. So we'll continue on. Now I'm going to show you something, guys. Hope y'all taking notes. Hope y'all listening. Hope the lesson is worthwhile. Hope y'all enjoying yourselves. Let's go to James 2 and 14. James 2 and 14. It says, what does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he has faith and have not works? Can faith save him? See, so you just can't apply faith in your life, man. You got to have works too, man. James 2 and 14. What does it profit my brethren, you Israelite brothers, you blacks, Hispanics, and Native American brothers, and you sisters? What does it profit you if you say you just got faith and you don't have any works? Can faith save him? Can faith alone save you? No. Can grace alone save you? No. You got to have the works. And what is the works? The works, once again, is keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. Feel me? Feel me? All right. James 2 and 15. If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, James 2 and 16. And one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be warm and filled, notwithstanding ye give them not those things which are needful to the body. What does it profit? James 2 and 17. Even so faith, if it has not works, it is dead, being alone. See that? So you can have all the faith and grace in the world you would like, but if it don't have works included, it's dead. And what is the works? Keeping the laws, man. Don't never let a church, organization, a religion, or any denomination on the face of this earth tell you Israelites, you blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, don't let anyone, not even these damn heathens in the red box, don't let anyone tell you that God's laws are eradicated and that they are no longer in existence. You got to keep these 10 commandments along with the dietary law. You got to keep the civil law, the ceremonial law, and the moral law. You got to keep these laws. You don't have to keep sacrificial law, because that was eradicated when the Son of the Most High, Christ, died on Calvary. He fulfilled the sacrificial law because he was the ultimate sacrifice. So we don't no longer offer up animals anymore. But all these other laws still apply. You can't just lean on faith and grace, man. This is what we're showing you in James 2 and 17. So even so faith, if it has not works, is dead, but being alone. James 2 and 18. Yeah, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me your faith without works, and I will show you my faith by my works. You see that? So you got to have the works along with faith, man. That's what he's trying to tell you in James chapter 2. James 2 and 24. You see then how that by works a man is justified and not by faith only. James 2 and 26. Listen to this. For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. So you can have all the faith and grace in the world. If it don't include works, which is trying to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, it's dead. All your grace, all your faith is dead. So you don't supposed to use grace as a crutch and use faith as a crutch to escape keeping the laws. Because when we tell you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, like you don't supposed to be eating shrimp, crab, lobster, and pork, you would say, oh, we saved by grace and faith. So you use grace and faith as a crutch in order so you can continue to break God's laws. You're not supposed to do that. That's what we're trying to explain. All right, guys. So that was my explanation of breaking down Romans 6 verses 1 and 2, and also Romans 3 and 31. So I hope you guys were edified on that, man. I don't have too much else left to say. I hope you guys was edified on that. I hope you guys was really edified. So please like, comment, share the video with family and friends. Solid Foundation Israelite Academy 2019. I am your host, Shabar Judah Israel. Once again, it has been a Wonderful lesson. And until next time, shalom, brothers and sisters. Take care.